What's up, trade crew? Welcome back to the HVAC R&D podcast hosted by me, Ridin. I'm testing out a new show format today, so let's see how it goes, and let's get it, y'all. Whether you're an original trade crew member who's been rocking with me since the early days, or you just stumbled across this podcast today, welcome to the show. And this show and this industry are built on great people and great stories. No matter where you find yourself in the world of the trades, whether you're a contractor, distributor, or manufacturer, if you've got a story to tell, HVAC R&D has a microphone ready for you. And here, it's all about collaboration over competition. This show is not afraid to challenge the norm and not afraid to shift the mindset of the industry if it helps to push all of us forward together. Big thank you to all the brands that keep the mics hot and the stories rolling around here. Thank you to Live Switch, JPL Flex, Diversitech, RLS Rapid Locking System, True Nature Meat Company, and W Energy. And don't you know it, everybody, HVAC R&D is headed back to the 2026 AHR Expo in Las Vegas. I'll be live in the podcast pavilion at 11 a.m. on Monday and Tuesday, and back with the AHR Workforce Development Team for the 5th year in a row on Wednesday morning. I'll be out roaming the showroom floor the rest of the time, so stop me, say what's up, let's grab a selfie, because unfortunately for a lot of us, this is the only time we get to see each other in person. And thank you for listening on whatever your platform is. Please like, follow, or subscribe to the show, drop me a review, leave me a comment, come back for more killer episodes just like the one you're about to hear. And please make sure to follow the show at hvac.rnd on Instagram and TikTok, and as the HVAC R&D podcast on LinkedIn and Facebook. All right, trade crew, let's get this show started and ramble on. So like I said, trade crew, testing out a new show format. Thanks to one of my longest running sponsors, JPL Flex, whose support continues to help this show keep rolling while their industry leading flexible duct keeps their moving homes and businesses all over the world. And you know, I'll be honest, trade crew, I'm a bit nervous. I'm not used to having a camera right here in my face. You know, that's the beauty of a traditional audio only podcast, right? You know, typically I can hide behind this thing right here. But, you know, unfortunately, sometimes guests reschedule, jobs pile up, responsibilities of life in and out of the trades have to take priority. And, you know, this has been a year of a lot of transition in my career, and that has seen me take a bit more time between shows here and there than I normally would have liked. So it's also, you know, it's time for me to shake some things up, take myself out of my comfort zone, and try to change things to do the show more the way I really, really want to do it. So with that in mind, I've been wanting to work out a way that I could keep consistency for the show, even if it's a week or two here and there that's just me all by my lonesome. You know, unless one of the pups is in the room with me, you know, I'd love it if Caden, Cody, or Rhodes could jump on the mic every now and then. I'm sure it'd be a fun, yappy conversation, but, you know, usually they're snoozing and no help. So with that said, thank you to all of you for watching. Thank you for listening. If this is your first time catching the show, I'm Ridin, host of the HVAC R&D podcast. I'm also the writer of the often sporadic but always engaging Ramblin Rhyno column that you can find on hvacrnd.com. You can also find it through my LinkedIn and some other places on social media. You know, I was born and raised in a work truck in the HVAC industry working for my father, Cajun Joe, as he is endearingly known on this show, in a very small town of Western North Carolina. I'm a proud graduate of Western Carolina University's College of History and their College of Entrepreneurial Business. And, you know, thanks to working in this trade throughout school, I completed degrees with zero debt. Thank you, trades. And, you know, by sheer happenstance, I met my partner in crime, the love of my life, Kristen, my senior year of college in a Winston-Salem Starbucks. That's a story for a whole other show itself sometime. But she and our three little schnauzers keep me grounded, humble, and mostly in line. And she has always been by my side since we started hitting the trade show scene when this whole show started. You know, following college, I transitioned in the world of wholesale distribution. I've had every job from truck driver, counter guy, warehouse associate, inside sales, branch manager, purchasing support, sales training, most prominently as an outside sales rep, territory manager, account executive, whatever name you would like to call it or whatever it makes sense for you. But, you know, that's been my last 15 years. I'm extremely passionate about this trade, about bringing the perspective of wholesale distribution to the trades community, and how working through various programs like AHR's Workforce Development has allowed me to spread knowledge of this trade to our next generation. I'm honored and grateful for all the blessings that being in HVAC has brought myself and my family. I'm also especially grateful for the relationships and the opportunities that the HVAC R&D podcast has allowed me to enjoy and experience. and I've been able to build relationships with people all over North America and the globe thanks to this wonderful trade. With that, again, thank you for listening to the show. It is truly a show for all of us, and it is my firm belief that this trade is built on great people and great stories. And if you're interested in sharing yours with the trade crew, please reach out to me, because I have a microphone and a platform for you to share your experiences and for you to also feel the love and embrace of our community. So, how do I make a solo show interesting? That's been really the biggest battle that I've been working to sort out of how to do this over the last month or so. So, as I used everybody's new favorite tool, ChatGPT, I used it to help create a bunch of random questions. I then fed it into a randomizer. I'm going to have it pick 10 questions for me here in just a second, completely live, so I can answer them authentically right here and on the spot. So, welcome to the show, and welcome to the first ever Live Switch Live React. So if you don't know what Live Switch is, I'm very excited to tell you about my newest brand ambassador sponsor, Live Switch. It is a communication platform built for small businesses and trades professionals. With Live Switch, you can jump on live video calls with a customer right from your phone or your browser. No travel, no waiting. The customers don't need a separate app or anything. You literally just send them a link, they open it, and bam, you're right there. So for a contractor or service company, that means showing your customer exactly what you're seeing on the job site, capturing photos, videos, sharing on-demand links, closing more jobs faster. You're reducing callbacks, you're eliminating unnecessary site visits, you create a seamless customer experience that every homeowner can remember, and best of all, customers feel like you're there even when you're busy elsewhere. You're building trust, you're protecting your reputation, and ultimately increasing your profitability. Live Switch also is already fully partnered with and ready to be integrated into your preferred business management systems, whether it be Housecall Pro, HubSpot, Jobber, Service Titan, many, many others. So if you're ready to stand out from the competition, work smarter, and deliver a premium experience, Live Switch is a game changer for the trades. So please go schedule your live demo today. See exactly how Live Switch can revolutionize your business and earn you more while doing less. And also remember to save 10% using my discount code RD10, RD10 when you add Live Switch to your arsenal. So don't wait, book your demo now. You can find the link to book your demo down in the podcast description, as well as you can find it on HVACR&D.com in the vendor hub. Now to the fun part. Let's get to these questions. So I've got a list of 100 over here. Let me hit randomize, copy and paste. That looks like that's 10. All right, drop them in here. And let's see what we get. Since 1961, JP Lamborn Company has been the name behind some of the best flexible duct products in the business. A third-generation family-owned company that built its legacy on integrity, innovation, service. That same spirit drives them today, with antimicrobial technology, top-tier materials, and a relentless focus on quality. When contractors need a product they can stand behind, JPL delivers. It's more than just flex duct, it's peace of mind. JPL, the name you know, the quality you trust, and the flex that delivers. All right, so question number 1 from the Live Switch Live React. So what is the most satisfying DMs you get from listeners? That's a good question. It's a good question to yourself, Ridin. Good question. I think one of the funnest ones that you get is, when someone messages you and says, hey, I really like how you talk about this industry and like about how you go about doing what you do. Maybe you should come and meet with us, and I'd like to work with you and your company. Maybe I'd like to buy from you as a distributor. That's probably one of the coolest ones, because if someone's reaching out with you to do business with you just because of the way you talk, that already means that you feel like you're coming across as an authentic person, which I try very, very desperately to do. I think another thing that's satisfying is over the 5 years this show has existed, which actually the 5-year anniversary of the show is coming up in a couple of days. So it's crazy to think I've been doing this for 5 years. But one of the other things that's really fun is when you get to the point that your listeners are sending you DMs of memes and you're just laughing together, because that means you've become more than just podcaster and listener. Now you're becoming friends. And one of my favorite things about this industry and about the social media scene of HVAC is that so many of us have become friends over the last years. And that's really the most rewarding thing is the personal relationships, because the only thing you really have is relationships with people. That's what really truly matters. All right, so question 2. What's the toughest job site lesson you ever learned the hard way? I won't say maybe this is my toughest job site lesson, but it's ironic to get this question because last week before, I could ask Kristen. I'm sure she knows off the top of her head, but I would say within the last 2 weeks, I got a phone call from a man named Walt Moody, who is a couple of years Cajun Joe senior, which Cajun Joe, my dad, is 84. I think Walt is somewhere in the 87, 88 year range. But Walt used to be a builder and developer that my dad and I did some work for up in the mountains, and he and my dad have been really good friends for a very, very long time. And he moved from North Carolina, I believe, back to Louisiana several years ago. I've not seen or talked to Walt in a very, very long time. I couldn't tell you exactly how much, but a very, very long time. But Walt actually called me those couple of days ago looking for my dad because he couldn't get a hold of him. And talking about him reminds me of when I was, I think, 16 or 17. I was to the point I could finally drive an installer service truck on my own and could go work on a job. And I was working on the job for him in Maggie Valley. And it was about probably around this time of year, or actually no, I think it was on a Christmas break, because I would go work for Dad some anytime we had a break during the holidays and make a little extra money. And I was in the back bedroom of the house, and I was cutting a hole in the floor for a boot, and I remember I hit either a knot in the plywood or I hit a nail that I didn't see. And when I hit it, my Sawzall kicked and I elbowed the window right next to me, and I shattered the bottom of the window. And I remember calling Dad and telling him what had happened. And then I remember calling Walt and confessing to my mistake and my screw up. And I think it was one of those accidents where you truly learn to be accountable. And, I think that taught me, it started to teach me that accountability on the job site lesson, even if I knew a lot about it before from different things. But that was really one of those moments where, crap, I really actually screwed this up. So I remember calling Walt and confessing my destruction of his property and fixing it. But ever since then, he and I always had a really, really good relationship. So, grateful for, again, relationships and people and lessons like that I learned throughout my install career before I got into school. All right. Question 3. What's your worst DIY home project fail? Kristen's going to be happy about me having to answer this one live. So we've been in our house about 2 years. I have I have one bathroom sink downstairs that doesn't work. I haven't fixed that. We have multiple light fixtures that we've already bought that she picked out that I haven't changed, or gotten someone to help me change or anything like that. So complete true fail there. I'm trying to think whatever projects we've got, but there's multiple honeydew DIY projects that I have desperately failed at. So here it is live. Everyone else can know about it too. Question 4. If you could build your dream HVAC system from scratch, what's in it? Ooh, how can I do that without bringing up brand? Really, and I'll say this, it's about who puts it in and how it's put in. Brand is important. It's good to have a good solid brand with a good warranty and a solidly built product, but it really also comes down to who puts it in. But if I have to go dream HVAC system specifically, let's say even for this house, we've got a split gas downstairs and a split heat pump for upstairs. Whenever we get around to doing this the second time, since we didn't build the house, we bought it. If we had built it, I'd have done things a little bit differently. But when we get the chance to change it, it's definitely going dual fuel downstairs, all inverter with a heat pump for dual fuel, so that really we only need the furnace as a backup. Or also, I just, having grown up in the mountains of North Carolina, I truly believe having a furnace with the ability to run it off of a generator also for potential heat in case of losing power is also a real positive. But yeah, for me, dream HVAC system is full inverter dual fuel system. If necessary, dehumidification or humidification. When it comes down to it, I'll probably call my buddy Tim DeStasio and I'll let him run me through the ringer to make sure we do that part of it right. Also, if you're anywhere up in the Northeast and you're going to the Heat Pump Symposium, make sure to check out Tim. Also, make sure to check out Miss HVAC Jennifer Manzo, who will also be up there. I think they're both going to be teaching classes and handling some live panel stuff. So good luck to you guys. If any of you are out there going to that, I hope you have a good time. I hope it's very engaging and educational. What's up, trade crew? I'd like to introduce you to True Nature Meats Company, one of the newest ambassador sponsors of the HVAC R&D podcast. And they're the crew bringing real deal, fully cooked, ready to heat specialty meats straight to your door. And they've hooked up the trade crew with an exclusive 40% off deal on one of two incredible sample boxes. The first box comes with 1 pound each of sirloin steak, buffalo chicken, Carolina chicken thighs, and Mediterranean chicken. Or you can go with box option number 2 and get 1 pound each of Texas smoked brisket, pollo asado chicken, Hawaiian Kahlua pulled pork, and southern barbecue chicken. 4 pounds of meticulously seasoned, slow cooked to perfection, just heat, eat, and repeat meat. And with this special HVAC R&D offer, it's only $48 with shipping included. So treat yourself after a long day in the field. Go grab your box at True Nature Meats Company. Make sure to use discount code HVAC40, HVAC40 for 40% off your order today. You can find the link in the podcast description down below, or you can click on the discounts and promos link on all social media platforms. You can also visit hvacrnd.com, go to the vendor hub, and find it that way as well. Thanks for listening, trade crew, and go get that meat. Let's see. Question 5. Which HVAC smell instantly brings back memories? I think I got a couple. The first one is obviously fuel. We did a ton of old oil furnace maintenances in the mountains. We used to have a maintenance contract for one of the local gas companies, so you'll never get that smell or what that smell thought is out of your mind, no matter what you do. And you can smell it, and instantly it will remind you of crawling in and around those old houses and replacing burners, replacing orifices, replacing filters. And I remember my hands being black, for weeks, or at least a shade of black for almost weeks, because you just couldn't get it out of your hands. And sometimes gloves, you couldn't get a hold of things to get it out with gloves. You ended up doing it barehanded. Now, if we had like black mambas or thought about using like medical gloves or stuff, 25 years ago, that probably would have helped with some of that. But that smell definitely. The other one it's technically not an HVAC smell, but it reminds me of an HVAC instance is, forgive me for the picture, but pigs, or a pig farm. I think it was episode 2 where I tell the pig story. So go back and listen to that. But, long story short, we had a mobile home that we went to work on one time that we had installed a system in it, but we got a call back that it just wasn't keeping up. And I remember going to the house and walking in the front door, and the house is immaculate. Nothing wrong with it. Everything's clean. So I start walking down doors to see if I can see something. I remember opening up a door, and the entire floor of a bedroom was cut out, and they had their pigs living in the house. But naturally, the system was struggling to keep up with demand because there was a gigantic 12 by 12 hole in their floor that it just couldn't overcome. So yeah, those two smells definitely bring it back. Let's see. Number 6. What legacy do you hope HVAC R&D leaves in 10 years? Well, we're 5 years into that. I hope another 5 years now or from now, it truly is. It was a show that was about the industry and gave voice to people that wanted to tell their story, and it helped connect people through each and other's shared experiences of this industry. I also truly hope that this show and things from it allow more young people to see the benefit of the trades, but also the ability to truly, write your own paycheck for your life as a tradesperson. And I think, having a trade, people can't take away what you can do with your hands. That's one thing no one can ever take from you. So I hope that I can be a positive voice for HVAC across the board. I hope that I can be a positive voice for distribution across the board. And I hope that I can, like I said, bring people together that are in the industry, but I can also help champion a future generation for this industry as well. And being able to spend time with kids and different things, especially through AHR. I'm so grateful for Nicole and her team that have allowed me to do a lot of things with AHR over the years to meet younger people and show them that there is so much more than just turning a wrench in this industry. We need people in distribution, manufacturers need people. There are so many hundreds and thousands of jobs that knowing this trade and knowing these skills can change your life in a lot of different ways. Question 7, what's your ideal weekend off? I've probably got several of those. Obviously, there's ones where Chris and I just get to go and do whatever we want and be left alone. Um, I think if I were to go personal and it be a solo thing, what's my ideal weekend off? Give me a cabin and a fire pit and no self-service up in the mountains where I can be left alone for a couple of days to just sit by the fire pit, drink a good bourbon, smoke a cigar, and maybe read. Lord knows I've not read. I used to read all the time. I hardly read anymore. Not from lack of desire to, but from, I swear, just lack of time and being tired. But yeah, ideal weekend off would definitely be somewhere where the cell phone doesn't work and I can just decompress and disconnect from the go, go, go of everything and just enjoy God's beauty and enjoy nature. What's up, trade crew? You've heard the buzz, you've seen the press gang at every single AHR. Contractors across the country are ditching their torches for RLS press fittings and they're not looking back. Why? Because RLS lets you finish faster, safer, and cleaner. From rooftops to mechanical rooms, crawl spaces, and attics, it's a press and go solution that's leak tested, UL recognized, and proudly made in America. Make the switch to RLS and take the heat out of your installs, literally. RLS, rapid locking system, press forward and press on. Number 8, what's your personal rule for saying no to deals? I guess that's probably of a podcast deal or sponsorship deal or even probably guest question. I think the biggest thing is, the amount of people that I get solicited for to come on the show now is undaunting. I probably get 5 to 6 emails a day from this person, that person, and every one of them is for an app or an AI driven this or AI driven that. And a lot of it are people that aren't from the industry, but they're trying to sell the industry something that they think is going to revolutionize it. And I'm not saying it's not always going to, but I didn't want to start this show for it to be somewhere where everyone just tries to come and sell their new secret sauce. And I know that probably doesn't look good or sound good to certain sponsors, and then maybe you're not the right sponsor for this show. I want this show to be authentic, and I want sponsors to be real manufacturers or real people. And not all those guests are the right guests for this show, because I think this is a show that's about the voice of the industry and the voice for people that are in it. And I want people to come in the show and truly bring value to the show and the industry and the listeners. And I think depending on on certain things. It's just there's certain things that I do say no to because I don't know if it's the right fit or not. And I say no to something because if it's something that I've had either a bad experience with or something else, or it's a product or a philosophy that I don't believe in, then I'm going to say no. And I think you have to learn to say no. And honestly, I say no way more than I ever say yes to guests that on this show. And it's not meant to be a detriment to anyone else. I really want it to be the right fit, and I want the voice of this show to stay the way that I feel it should be. So I think, my personal rule, I guess, would be is if it doesn't fit or doesn't seem to fit, you can't put I guess it's that square peg round hole thing. Um, and that's not me saying I'm not open to other opportunities. I would love to have people on this show that have nothing to do with the trade, but maybe they were great business people, because I think we all have something to learn from differing opinions and other things like that. I just truly think that there's certain things that I don't want this show to become. And when you start saying yes to every single thing, it doesn't always get to keep the voice you want it to have. And then I guess, so question number 9, I guess, plays right into that. It says, what's the key to long-term sponsor relationships? Transparency and communication. Straight up. I'm very lucky that the sponsors that I deal with, I have open dialogue with. It took several years for some sponsorships to even happen. And, there's months that shows aren't the way you want them. Things don't always go the way it is. So I think, having transparency and discussing things and making sure that the sponsor gets value for the content that you create with them and in partnership with them. And that's the same thing with people. It's about saying what you're going to do, but then actually going and doing what you say you're going to do. And is that to say that I'm always perfect? Hell no. I don't think any of us are, but I damn well try. Try really hard to make sure I always do what I say I'm going to do, and and follow and support sponsors the way that they support me. Question 10. What innovation do you think will define the next decade? I guess in terms of, I've got a few that I think do, but I guess in terms of HVAC, I think the main one, and it's not a new innovation, but I think inverter heat pumps are the future and where it's going. And I truly believe the adaptation of inverters and heat pumps will continue to be a defining voice for HVAC in the next decade. The other innovation that I think will define this next decade, and is even kind of starting to define the one we're in right now, is artificial intelligence. So yeah, that was your very first Live Switch Live React. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have questions that you want to ask, please submit them so that I can drop them in the old generator, and that way I can, I'd love to be able to give a person a shout out as I answer a question. That would be awesome. So please do that. This episode of the HVAC R&D podcast is brought to you by Diversitech, the one-stop source for contractors who want to simplify every job. Whether you're stocking up on install supplies, service parts, thermostats, controls, or digging into the legendary tool line from Hillmore, Diversitech has you covered. They're not just a parts supplier. They help build solutions for HVAC pros, offering pads, condensate management gear, electrical parts, replacement components, premium tools that make install, service calls, and maintenance faster, cleaner, and more professional. Partnering with Diversitech means fewer trips back to the supply house, more time on the job, and less chance of callbacks because you're using the right gear from the start. If you want to work smarter, stay stocked up, and show up for every job ready, Diversitech is the trade pro's best friend. Following that, we're going to step into the next part of the new format show, which is called the Diversitech Drill Down. Another brand new sponsor is Diversitech. I'm extremely excited to bring them on board because they have such a breadth of product. And Diversitech Drill Down is really meant to take one of these questions and kind of drill down a bit further. It makes it a perfect time to drill down, which is brought to you by Diversitech, the folks who make literally every accessory you've ever needed, from pads to pumps to tools that save you from multiple hardware trips and a whole lot of other things. Diversitech is extremely diverse. They offer a lot of solutions to the industry. So again, pumped to have them on board. But the one question that obviously kind of really stood out for this one is what innovation do you think will define the next decade? So I guess let me break that down just a little bit. It said obviously inverter heat pumps, but I think the other one really is artificial intelligence. It's completely changing how we interact with most everything. We've already seen how smart devices like Alexa or Siri, started to change how we do the little things at home, such as set reminders on our calendars or create shopping lists, just through voice commands. But we're entering a new realm of computer assisted life, which in many ways is kind of more scary. It's more scary at times than it is exciting. I loved Terminator 2 as a kid, but the reality of Skynet is potentially a growing concern in some ways, whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not. I was fortunate enough I didn't grow up with my face attached to a cell phone screen or buried in a screen. And even when I was in college, I spent the majority of my research time in a library, using things called books. And in words of comedian great Ron White, those are the things that held the knowledge. And if the book you were needing after you looked it up in the Dewey Decimal System and you went to go find it and it was checked out, then well, you had to wait for the person with the knowledge to return it to the library so that you could then get the knowledge. But everything is at our fingertips. And with AI, we don't even have to search anymore. We just ask it a question and it goes and it gathers it all up and delivers it to us in 30 seconds or less. The other day, Chris and I were at a movie, which she and I we're big movie buffs. We go to the movies a lot. It's kind of just means to just get away for us. But we saw there was a preview ad for a certain large name company, and it essentially was targeted at parents, saying that your children are no longer really going to need anything or need to have to know anything because their AI device will allow them to answer anything. They're not going to need education. They'll just grow up with the ability to ask the device all of their questions and receive answers. It really was almost a why bother with any kind of education other than just let the phone do it, which we already we all go to the restaurants and we see a family at a restaurant with three kids and all three of them's face stuck in an iPad at the table. It's I hate to say it, but it is not a substitute for being a parent. And if Chris and I had kids, I certainly would not want them to gather and garner all of their information just from asking AI on a computer. I can't see, but unfortunately, I think that's the way a lot of things are going, and I think it's a very slippery slope when we start letting AI take over and take away from just being human. I don't know. It's a scary thought, and from perspective of an installer or a service tech, AI, I think it could be a great tool. It can help gather information about an old piece of equipment. We see there's tons of different apps that are already specific to our industry that are using AI in different forms. It's constantly evolving. If you can't find an install guide while you're on a service call, or you can't find, sequence of operations or different things like that, AI at times it can help you, find those things. It can help business owners analyze report data. As a sales leader, it can help you analyze what's going on with your sales team and analyze your KPIs and your metric. But AI itself cannot replace the person who is doing the hands-on tasks that trade professionals do. So I think that's, the saving grace of being in a trade is the fact that, at least for the current foreseeable future, AI is not going to replace the person actually doing the job. Someone's got to go replace the TXV. Someone's got to go replace the fan motor. Somebody's got to go and get EPA certified so they can put in their new A2L refrigerants, things of that nature. I think I'm a lot more concerned with where it could lead on the sales support side, of contractors, wholesale distributors. You already see AI bots taking sales roles from people in other industries. I'm hoping it's not something that will eventually replace what I do as an outside sales rep for HVAC, because, luckily with tradespeople, relationships truly matter, and taking care of your customer and your contractors truly matters. So I don't think, AI is going to take that away immediately, but you're also seeing AI-based call centers are even starting to threaten job security for dispatchers and different types of office personnel. But like I said, luckily the trades are an industry that's built on interpersonal and true one-on-one relationships, as well as hands-on mission-oriented work. So Yes, AI can write your emails and it can help with all different textually based tasks and things, but do not let AI assistants allow you to forget that you're a human in an industry that is made unique because of the humans that have the ability to do these jobs. I think the moral of the story is that AI should be used as a tool or an accessory in your arsenal, just like a Hillmore tubing bender or an Assurity condensate pump, but not as a means of replacing the human element of the trades. All right, so that's your very first Diversitech drill down, because sometimes the difference between getting by and getting better is just one layer deeper. So thank you for listening to the show on your favorite platform, whichever it may be. Please smash and like the subscribe button, follow the show, leave me a review or a comment, drop me a DM with a question you want to ask. Please share the show with your trade crew. Go check out HVACR&D.com and visit the vendor hub. Don't forget to book your live switch demo today and then use discount code RD10 when you're at checkout and save 10% off your new services. So have a great week, trade crew. I'll catch you soon. Well, trade crew, that's a wrap for this episode of the HVAC R&D podcast. Huge thanks again to our guests and all the guests that keep coming back. And most importantly, thank you to you, the listeners, for being part of this wild ride. And whether you're a seasoned trade crew veteran or this was your very first episode, welcome, thanks for listening. And here, we're built on community, conversation, and the belief that collaboration will always beat competition. So if you enjoyed the show, do me a favor. Please take 15 seconds and like, follow, or subscribe on whatever your platform you're listening on is. Leave a comment, leave a review. It means more than you know. Please share me with your friends and your trade crew. Make sure to follow the show on Instagram and TikTok at HVAC.R&D and on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Trade Hounds as the HVAC R&D podcast. Don't forget, I'll be live at the 2026 AHR Expo in Las Vegas, February 2nd through the 4th at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Catch me in the podcast pavilion at 11 a.m. Monday and Tuesday, and with the AHR Workforce Development team on Wednesday morning. Stop me on the showroom floor. Let's get a selfie. This is often the only time we get to connect in person all year. Much love to my sponsors, Live Switch, JPL, Diversitech, RLS, True Nature Meat Company, and W Energy. I'm your host, Ramblin Rhyno, and I'll see you next time on the HVAC R&D podcast. Peace, trade crew. The Ramble on.